Good afternoon, folks. My name is Marlon Salinas. I'm with the Customer Experience Group at NOV, where I lead the team that designs, implements, and supports custom field service applications for our various NOV business units. Just a show of hands, who around here is in the oil and gas space? Anybody? Oh, sweet, so I can lie all I want. just joking. If you're not familiar with NOV, it's a big company made up of a lot of smaller business units, and each one that we handle here with our team, we've created a particular field service solution for them. So just to give you a little bit of background information, so we've been using Resco since 2018. We started with one of our business units, MD Todco, and formerly MD Todco. Now it's NOV Digital Services, and the name just changed. So if I call it something else, I ask for your forgiveness. But let's just call it NDS for now. So, like I said, we have at present we have 4 distinct field service solutions tailored specifically for each of these business units. Now, NDS is particular in the sense that they have they track over 30,000 assets in their live environment today. 12,000 of these assets are out in the field, and actually, this is what this presentation is about. So, one of the biggest challenges that these technicians face with NDS is that these assets need to be verified about once a month. So we're talking about 12,000 assets spread out over several oil rigs. Each oil rig has between 40 and 60 assets, some even more, that are being actively used out in the field. And so the challenge is, whether it's for compliance reasons, for billing accuracy, or just to make sure that the darn thing hasn't walked off the rig, right? So they need to perform this asset verification once a month, and it's a crucial step. So here's what we're up against. Asset verification currently, as it currently stands, takes about an hour to an hour and a half, which is a long time when you're out in the rig. So imagine yourself, you're a technician in full PPE, and you're out on the rig site, and you're trying to find these assets, and this rig is massive, right? And it's caked in drilling mud. If you're not experienced with the stuff, or never seen it before, this stuff is nasty. It gets everywhere, but it's crucial, right? It's specifically designed to cool the bit as it's drilling and maintain pressure and balance the pressure, and also take the cuttings that come from the drilling up to the surface. So like I said, it's a crucial element of the drilling process, and unfortunately, it gets everywhere. And so what some of the technicians have adopted is, instead of going around with their mobile app to try and verify all these assets, because they're going to get their phone dirty or drop it in mud or something, they've resorted to go around with a pencil and paper and write down all of these serial numbers, come back to their truck, and enter it into the device, whether it's a laptop or a mobile device. But guess what? So if you wrote down a 6 and it was actually an 8, or if you thought you saw a 5 and it's actually a 6, or accidentally press a 7, you need to go back out there to the location of that asset, dig it back up, uninstall it if it was previously installed, uninstall it, verify the number, and go back to your truck and key in the information. So you can imagine how time-consuming this is. And another thing is that, these are active rig sites, so any minute that we spent extra on the rig site, it's a disruption to the customer potentially, right? Because they have to stop operations so that I can look at this serial number. And so to drive the point home a little bit, let me, for illustration purposes, this is an aerial view of a rig site, right? So it looks like heavily industrial area, right? Equipment all over the place. And I want to draw your attention to that speck that you see between the gray stack and that brown stack over there. Let me circle it for you. So it looks like a barrel, piece of equipment maybe, perhaps. But if we take a closer look, you'll see that's a full-grown man standing next to those pipes. So that gives you a sense of scale of how large this environment is and how massive the span is, right? And then we can move to an overhead view. So this is an example of another rig site. overhead view. And what I did is I put little red dots to represent where these assets could be placed in the rig site. And now, I wasn't about to put 60 red dots on this screen I stopped at like 15 or something, and I was like, they get the idea. It's very spread out, and these technicians are walking from place to place, recording these asset numbers, right? And for the purposes of this verification. And it's a dirty process, not glamorous at all, but unfortunately, it has to be done. It has to be done. So what are we tracking exactly? So these are a combination of indoor, outdoor assets. Some indoor assets like computer monitors, printers, keyboards, you name it. We have it and we track it in indoor environments. Some like this gauge that you're seeing, this MD Totco sensor, we're tracking outside, and you can see that these are really clean. This is actually an exceptional example. So we have control boxes, we have pit probes, we have gauges, sensors, all types of assets outside that get dirty, but they need to be counted nonetheless. So this is what the technician is looking for. You see that bright red plate with a serial number etched into it. This is what the technician is looking for. And here's an example of an asset that's been removed. So can anybody spot the red plate? If you guessed up there, how many guessed up there? Okay, so you can go to nov.com, go to careers, and then you can, just joking. So you can see how dirty it gets, right? Now, believe it or not, this is an exceptional piece of equipment. The reality is that it looks more like this. So here you can appreciate just how dirty and filthy this is, right? So that piece that we just saw a minute ago, that is here on that bottom left corner. You can't even see it, can you? It doesn't look the same. That's what it is. And so, I went through all this so that you can appreciate just what kind of conditions these technicians are working under. So, how do we land at RFID? So the business came to us with this problem that they needed help with. We need to reduce the time that this takes, and we said, sure, let's just use barcodes. After all, Resco already supports barcodes. Just slap the barcodes on there, scan those suckers, and we're done. We're good. But as you can clearly see, after they showed us just what I showed you guys, it was evident and obvious that we just were not be able to get a clear optical scan off of these assets. And so we had to move to something else. And that's when they came to us and threw us a curveball. They said, hey, we already bought these RFID scanners. Is there any chance that Resco can use these? And like any responsible functional lead, wise beyond my years, I looked at them dead in the eyes and I said, maybe? I'm not sure. But I vaguely remembered some documentation among the Resco documentation mentioning something about Zebra's partnership. So I decided to reach out and I submitted a support disk ticket to Resco and said, hey, any chance that that y'all can flex this partnership so that these two things can work, can commingle, the Zebra scanner and the Resco mobile app. And Resco being Resco, they said, hold my beer, I'll be right back. And a short time after that, I received a link in my inbox. And when I clicked on that link, it took me to a video of a version of the Resco mobile app, the Zebra scanner that we were using, and some tags on a desk. The Resco mobile app had a list of accounts, and the tester squeezed the trigger, and those accounts went from potentially hundreds, it was a long list, down to just 2, the matching ones for that. Now, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I tried to play it real cool, and was like, yeah, that's cool, that's nice, thank you. But I was super excited, and I immediately went to the business and said, we've got it. They said that yes, it's possible, let's get started. So immediately, we formed a team of developers, BAs like myself. We joined forces with the team that was already from operations, trying to execute this. Installing the assets, installing the tags on the assets in one of our rig sites, and also with Resco team. So it was a great collaboration between all of us, and we immediately started the proof of concept testing. Once we got through that, we tagged the assets on a live rig, one of our test rigs, and we actually invited the Resco folks to come out last August to come out and take part in the scanning live, which was a treat. So the technology was in place. So we have the assets, the scanners were picked. We have the technology from Resco. They built the tools on their end in the mobile app. And so now it was time for our developers to roll up their sleeves and actually come up with a solution that works for the business. So what we ended up doing, without getting too technical, is we embedded a button in the asset verification form. You press the button, it connects to the scanner, and Resco are now talking to each other. And when the technician squeezes the trigger, it captures any tags that are within 5 to 10 feet. We thought was a range we tested. And whatever it returns, we get those scans and run them through 3 tables. Run it through our verification table. As soon as it finds a match, it flips that asset over to verified status and falls off the list for the technician to verify. And then secondarily, if it finds no match in that table, then we run it through our warehouse inventory tables and our rig inventory tables. And if it finds a match there, the technician gets an alert that says, hey, your asset is in X place, please adjust your records. And he makes the necessary moves to get it in the place where it's supposed to be. So with that functionality in place, it was a great kickoff point where we can get started on actually implementing this with the business. And so none of this would have been possible, though, without the collaboration from Resco. And so what they did was they not only worked to put the Zebra functionality into their platform, but they also helped us fill in the gaps on our side of the platform, right? And so they were committed to our success at every step of the way. When you have a vendor that's working side by side with your development team, answering questions, taking calls, and it's that kind of relationship is less like a vendor and more like a teammate, right? Which we really appreciated. One moment that really stood out with us, and I would like to mention, give a special shout out to Mate. So when they came down to Houston, when we invited them out to the rig, they were in the office with us. It was the day before. We didn't have a UI plan for what this was going to look like for the technician. And our plan was to go out to the test rig site, and we were going to use the native app for Zebra, and we can kind of mime how the technician goes around and scans these assets, right? What it's going to look like. And Mate, he asked for a copy of our project. And what he did with that was he put in the scanning functionality into the Resco app, our version of it for NDS. And when we showed up on the rig, he's like, okay, I connected it to your mobile project. So when the technicians weren't out with us to go scan things, they saw their app making the scans. And there's no, I can't describe what that meant to them. Just to be able to visualize and actually see it. They don't have to imagine it anymore. Just what we've been telling them that Resco's going to be able to do this. It's going to be able to do that. They actually saw it in action with their version of the app, which was immensely valuable. So, the whole team was just responsive from start to finish, and very supportive, and just a real partnership from beginning to end. So I really appreciate that. And so. Now to the things that matter, right? Enough of the sentimental stuff out of the way. So that was and after we did that, our tests out in the field and the feedback we got from the technicians, we saw a reduction time on average of 75%. So, and that's not to say that we reduced it to 75%. It was a reduction of 75%. So we went from a process that was an hour to an hour and a half to 15 to 30 minutes. A process to scan a whole rig. So the technician goes out there, scan, 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 and we're done. And so the human error was also reduced to zero because there's no more keying in numbers. There's no more writing down. Did I write down an 8 or was that a 6? None of that. If the asset it's tagged, it gets scanned. If it gets scanned, it gets verified. End of the story. Move on. And surprisingly, also, it was able to deliver on a key goal of the business throughout this whole process, was that they wanted to be able to identify assets that were physically on the rig, but digitally elsewhere. So they were installed on the rig site, but we weren't billing for them. And so through this verification process and tagging of the assets, we can simply go over, and when it identifies that one of these is located somewhere else, that's a red flag for the technician to send a message back to HQ so that they can move it to the appropriate location digitally, and we can start billing for that. So cost savings all around. What does the field say? So none of this matters if the field hates it, right? If they just don't want to use it, then it doesn't really matter. But they were echoing back to us the same things that we were putting out, is that it's faster, it's less time spent on the rig site, less time in the way of the customer. So their adoption rate was high because if you make a tool that makes their lives easier, adoption's the easy part, right? And so what's next on the horizon for us? We want to expand this functionality. Obviously, we want to, the next thing we see on the horizon is probably streamlining the asset issuing and asset retrieval process. So right now, when we do a rig down, which is completely uninstall all of the assets on a rig site, the technician goes in there and one by one marks each as uninstalled. Well, now we can just go scan, 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 submit, and it moves all of it to my truck, or it moves all of it to my warehouse, or it moves all of it to my next customer's location. So that's very exciting stuff also for the business. Now, in terms of scaling, because of regulations surrounding the RFID technology, there's certain places we can't expand to immediately. There's some regulations, but ever since we started announcing internally that we're doing this, working on this RFID thing, people are excited and they're asking for demos and what's this app that you tell us about, Resco, and they hear that it has offline capabilities and it's like, wow, they're super excited. So we'll see where that goes. But so just the main takeaways that we have is that definitely collaboration drives innovation. We couldn't have gotten as far as we did, as quickly as we did, without the diverse team that we put together of field service technicians, managers, the Resco team, and our internal development team. So that was invaluable. And also the feedback from the field was essential. There was a few times where we were steering the wrong way, and we course corrected based on what they told us. They said, hey, we needed to do this, not that. So that was excellent. And finally, Resco's commitment to our success was key. They loaned us Mate with his Super Saiyan level skills, and they also were at our beck and call every time we had a question. We reached out to them, and they replied back. It was just an excellent experience all around. So that's our story. Some mud, some metrics, and a whole lot of teamwork in between. So thank you for inviting me out. Thank you for listening, and I'd be glad to take your questions real quick.